Gotta dance, Liz. Gotta dance.
That is dancing.
The whole shoulder shimmy is dancing.
That's all.
That's all I got. Dang. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. It is the 15th, 16th.
16th.
So it's actually post-Ides of March, and Adam Perry got here first. And it is the beauty of this, where like, hey, we're going to be doing this. Welcome to Cut the Shit, Cue the Genius show, where it seems Adam Perry is the first genius on the show. So welcome. And I hope Jude is with you because he's actually the genius. You're not. So, yeah.
She's getting real already.
Yeah, exactly. Right. He's going to be the king of AI. Like, we'll have nothing to do with like this new generation that will be AI'd. I'm going to like just coin that phrase right now, which is our subject today. Hello, Sean. Hive mind. Oh my God, that is brilliant. So yes, Liz and I, Dahlia, and we're missing our third leader, Bruno, who is at a trip right now on the West Coast. So we're wishing her all the sunshine in the world. But welcome to Cut the Shit, Cue the Genius episode. I think this is 41. I lost count, but it's all good. It means we're having fun and we're making an impact. So I'm just going to leave it at that. The coffee this morning, I had mushroom coffee this morning, is kicking in. So welcome to the show. So before we start, we have a couple of headlines from the industry and news that we want to share with you. Hello, Sean. And first and foremost, woohoo! Liz is taking a road show.
It's a miracle. We're bringing in person back after you all have heard me talk about my fears in doing such things. But we're super excited to bring back a Texie Talk in-person event in New York City, June 9th. The goal is to, I'm using the Jay-Z line, allow me to reintroduce myself, because the industry is just like a whole new world post-pandemic. And we're doing venue searches in New York and vendor searches, and it's a shit show. It's its own shit show. So we decided time to bring together all the brightest minds in our industry and give people a chance to shake hands, make new contacts, see what's out there. I'm tired of calling venues to find out they're no longer there or the contact moved 7 times in the last 5 seconds. And so this is kind of the primer, especially for the New York area, to understand what the heck is happening in the industry. Who do you need to know? Super excited. Check out texietalk.com/NYC Roadshow. And then, we'll have to take it to like Boston and California and
maybe London, and maybe Adam can be, a co-host or something. So I love it. Congrats. And speaking of shows, we also have an amazing industry show happening in Las Vegas. Event Tech Live Las Vegas is happening April 26th and April 27th. Awesome, because this will be a laser focus on event tech and all of those wonderful event profs that can show you how to use it, what to use, what not to use. It's going to be a lot of fun. Most importantly, Adam just also announced his hosted buyer program. So we're going to share that link with you in the comments after the recording. But take a look, apply, and Sean, I hope to see you there. You have to clear your schedule, but you should be there. And it's going to be a lot of fun. Dahlia Plus is going to have a Tech to Grow collective. So it's just a great collection of technology companies that help you grow your events and your business. But the attendee list looks solid, and the floor plan looks solid, and the bar crawl is gonna be solid. So Here we go. Hi, Liz. Yes, and I think they are blended. I know Event Tech Live has a virtual component to it. I don't know, Liz, what about Texie Talk?
Not this time. We've been doing global events. So this is very specific to the New York market. So that's why we're not doing it for this particular event. But our Texie Talk global event will also be back in November, and that will be virtual. So No
I love the
vibration.
neon lights. I should have put the light on for you, the ringmaster.
Yeah, come on.
I'm sorry.
Have the
Next
same
time.
colors and everything.
Next time. So other news in the industry. Obviously, if you have not missed it, or I mean, I don't know if you have missed it. The headline about Cvent getting bought by Blackstone for how many zeros?
Something in the billions.
It's in the billions. And I would love to hear from everybody in the audience what their take was when they first heard the news. Obviously, you have investors that are taking another look at event technology. Cvent has done an amazing job of being very comprehensive in services. I think right now it's kind of interesting. Thank you, Sean. 4.6 billion, where you have this huge investment and this huge buy, and then you have another headline with Silicon Valley Bank saying, "Oops, we did something," and you have these tech companies that are ugly crying, and it's actually it's an interesting time, don't you think, Liz? I mean,
it's a nice word to use.
Sean knew that it was going to happen, that they were buying up so much. Very, very true. We are all going to be watching to see what this is going to look like, impact on planners, and impact on the clients, the customer service, etc. So we will take a look at that. And for planners, I would say check in on your tech vendors and partners, see where they're at, and or they're proactive and they're communicating with you where they are at. So I see that Anne and Adam are starting trouble already about the pub crawl. So it's not about the events anymore. It is about the pub crawl. It's about the people. So I see that. And it's probably not even about the alcohol anymore, but there you go. So are we ready? Because AI tools, oh my God, I feel like it's like, be careful what you wish for. I think event profs have recently been saying, I'm wishing for more innovation. I'm wishing for solutions that would actually help me do my job. And then all of a sudden, it's like, here you go. And it's been a hot minute since there's this thing that can actually write for you. And there's this thing that I can't get access to because it's overflowing with people like just pinging it, etc. So Chat GPT, was it like just maybe 2 months ago? Less? January.
Yeah, at least that it became very popular. And we talked about it on the show. We did a whole show on Chat GPT. And then they just keep coming out with like iterations. They introduced a monetization model. And everyone I talk to is like using it for something. And there's always, anytime there's new technology, there's always that like current that you hear of like, this is horrible. It's going to take everyone's jobs. Children are going to cheat on their tests, but like it's technology. It has opened so many doors. I've used it countless times since we talked about it on Chat GPT. Give me a business name that would do X, Y, and Z. Write a sponsor email. It has written a great description about Texie Talk, way better than I could ever write to put on the website. Yeah. And then as Anne is saying, over 1,600 AI startups have been launched in the last 90 days. And that's, I think, what Dolly and I were experiencing prepping for this and just in general. It's just like every day I look, it's like, oh my God, you could do this with AI. You can, like Dolly, you can go in and like create a picture, just use some words to describe what you want to make, and it just pops up. And then you can hit and like get more options. You can get more options. Like, this is amazing. You could.
So I just do want to say that event profs, I've chatted with a couple where they are very, very upset and almost depressed, thinking that AI is going to take their job. And what I want to say to everybody is, it's not going to replace you as an event professional or an event designer or an event manager or director. It will replace those that do not use AI. we asked, and the universe has given to us something that is very, very profound. This is innovation in its own kind. This is technology evolving because we helped it evolve. It is a machine that learned from us, right? So the other thing is, if you are not embracing AI to enhance your work, to enhance the way you do things from an event side, and it's pushing agility, and it's pushing us to be better event profs. Everything from, like you said, writing copy to writing emails to designing spaces to reaching new audiences to actually even being faster at figuring out what our audiences want and then designing on the fly. I know that you and I have been like exchanging like tools and like URLs. It's every day that you find here are 10, AI, blah, blah, blah tools. So I'd be very interested. And I think Anne is going to be the first one, or maybe Sina, who's going to share with us what their favorite AI tools are. But I will tell you from the get go, the ones that I've been like loving at the moment, is WordTune for writing. So I'm talking like Chrome extensions. I have WordTune. I also have Word Super Normal, which Adam got me stuck on. So thank you very much. They should be giving you commission. And then the other one that also I think Adam, you can explain how you use it, is also called Trailblaze, if I'm not mistaken. So we're talking about, like, if you look at what you do on a daily basis, and if I'm not mistaken, all of us live in our inbox, and all of us live in writing either an email, a template, a copy, and we're faking it, or we're bullshitting something. So the bullshit now can actually look really, really good with AI tools. So, and Anne says 100%, Dahlia. It's forcing us to pull ourselves out of the weeds and forcing us to focus on strategy, design, and managing the emotional experience of an event. I'm going to put that on a plaque and then put it next to me and then show it to people that are ugly crying about AI. But yes, text blaze. Thank you, Adam. So the other thing is, here, this is your opportunity to take a look at what is sucking your time. Is it the emails? Is it managing your schedule? Because there's another one called Magical now that actually can tell Doodle to like step away. We're going to help you figure out everybody's crazy schedule. Your cat herding is now AI enabled. So get a load of this. You're going to be awesome, right? So what we are trying to put together within this show, as well as for you to think of, is when you're strategizing, what kind of tools or what kind of AI driven tools would you want for that reason, as well as on site. So Liz, if you were AI enabled on site at Texie Talk in June, and all of a sudden, you have a sliver of your attendees, they want to like talk about something, etc., how can AI come to the rescue, cape and all?
Well, I mean, I'm still trying to like envision this, but it's, and it's not related, but I just read this article that Joan Eisenstadt shared about facial recognition and the ethics around that. And like, I just think there's so much technology that we could be using at our events, and then of course the planning process and afterwards. So it's really interesting to think, and I'm reading the chat blowing up, of course.
Yeah.
I'm like super ADD right now. I think it's interesting to think about learning what you can learn about your audience through the data that we're already collecting about them, which has not been really new. Like for years, you can see, top recommended sessions based on who's registered and who should be meeting who, and that kind of stuff has existed. And even that event planners have been like very weird about for some reason. But just that personalization, I think that someone can access because of this kind of technology, the idea that like before you register for an event, you can see who else is registered for this event that
Right.
that's personalized to you. But there's just so many ways to use all of this. Like I was playing with PFP Maker, it's like a little profile picture thing. But I was thinking, that makes your speaker pages, like when you list those 40 speakers, you could go ahead and put them in this platform and then you don't have to do any editing and they come out with these cool backgrounds and stuff. There's just so many things that you can do with this kind of technology.
Yeah. So
But
Cena's looking for one, I think similar to what you were talking about, an AI tool that analyzes event data. Do you know of any? I think probably Adam would know.
Bear Analytics actually has been doing a lot of work in this space.
With AI?
Yeah. I mean, essentially, when you think about AI, it is data. They're kind of like AI is just kind of the fancy word everyone is using. It's a tool that is leveraging data to produce a result. And so companies like Bear Analytics have been doing this for a long time and really focusing on this though in the last year or so.
Yeah.
It's just taking a lot of data and making sense of it. That's what we should have been doing with all this data.
I mean, this merits another discussion with the tech partners that you have in regards to what are you doing with AI? What are you doing with Chat GPT? I have a feeling the troublemakers that are in this audience right now, if we collectively come up with a solution that is needed, we probably can have it developed by either Chat GPT or something of the sort. And then we'll have to figure out how to promote it in the industry. But
I feel like there's so much swirling about, and Anne said earlier in the chat, I'm trying to find it, what she's really interested in is like, what is Google going to add to their productivity suite? I think that's for the average event prof, that's where you want to be living, is like Canva, for example. They have some cool AI tools that they've been building within their platform. And I've seen some really cool things where you can use like Chat GPT to generate, 15 quotes or 15 best practices or something like that, 50, whatever. And you can upload that list into Canva and use their templates to produce 50 graphic images that you can share instantly. There's a lot of ways that these larger companies are going to pick and choose kind of the most stable, the most applicable, and put it in. I mean, we're the kinds of people who want to test everything, create a billion accounts and play with everything. But for the average planner, I think it is going to be a lot more about like, which are the ones that rise to the surface. Yeah. And then those are the ones that you're really going to actually end up using. I mean, there's a billion of these things.
So I know that there's going to be a ton of the tech companies that we know of that are going to be using AI to the next level. They probably have been using AI. So like, for example, Grip, as well as there's a slew of them. InEvent also integrated Chat GPT, for example, in their platform. But so the real question here is, how do you get event planners to notice how they can use it differently? So that's one. Second is, what's the evolution of it? Because that means that the onboarding is going to have to be quicker. The pace we're living in at the moment is quicker. So as an event prof, you have to decide more so on focus and strategy. This is not only a shiny object. This is it's almost like an embed, but you have to decide how much you're going to use it and how little you're going to use it. You're going to have to use it, basically. And also who you're going to bring on your team that potentially is going to be the champion of these new capabilities. This is going to actually, in my mind, I like take a look at an association of some kind. And when they have a marketing team or a content or programming team that want to be, creating content on the fly, and AI can potentially help them create even decks of conversations right there on the fly. And their C-suite is having a holy shit moment because they do not understand it. They don't really see how it will, actually take a different direction for their events that they're used to. So in my opinion, I think the biggest obstacle here is not the usage of it. It's the convincing of the C-suite that there are going to have to be very different changes that are going to happen, especially I think on the marketing side, on the content side, as well as the attendee side, registration and personalizing the experience, etc.
It almost goes to our conversation last week where we were talking, I think it was last week, where we were talking about having someone who's dedicated on your team to looking into technology and thinking about all the integration points and the strategy. More organizations need that. And it's not just for event technology, but they need to be looking at these AI tools and really thinking about, and then when you go to sell it to the C-suite, it becomes about what is the benefit. Like
Right.
I find what talks to the C-suite is saving money. So, I mean, you can easily save money by using some of these tools to automate workflows and to kind of understand the process. I mean, the one that you were talking about earlier, Magical or something like that,
Yeah.
where you kind of can automate an entire workflow, which again, some of this is not really new. It's funny because it's getting a ton of attention right now because everyone's calling it an AI tool. But I mean, there's a lot of this stuff that has been floating around for years.
Yeah. But the reality of here of what we're talking about, AI tools, you're going to see so many. So like what Anne was saying, it's like 16 million in the last, I don't know how many months. It's going to be more. Either we're going to bury our heads down as event profs sometimes do, or we're going to say, let me identify. I'm going to take a moment. I'm going to identify the spaces that take up a lot of my time, or there's so many chefs in the kitchen that I just need to take it away from someone and see how AI or an AI tool can help me out. Right now, when you look at a lot of the shows, they're like, oh, we're coming back. I just was at a seafood New England show. There was 18,000 people there. And it was a beautiful trade show. It had trade show aisles, it had the buzz, everything of the sort. What was happening though is there were new attendees or first timers that truly had a challenge with finding quiet spaces. The noise, the lights, it got to them. It really got to them. They came to the empowerment lounge that we had on the show floor, and luckily we were like in the very back, which was, luckily I say that because they were able to hide and be with us. But this is where I would say one thing is, if you do not have an AI chat bot of some kind where it's like, where's a quiet space, and they can actually, get a response right away, that is the first thing that trade shows are going to have to do. This is not a money kind of discussion anymore. You have to take a look at where are you going to come in with solutions and with being proactive, especially with audiences at the event itself. You can't get away with it anymore. There's no excuse whatsoever.
And I wonder what that does to like the personalization and kind of like an understanding or an expectation. So like, for example, when chatbots first became popular several years ago, every event organizer that I was talking to was like, well, that's not going to work because it doesn't know all the answers to my specific event. Even if you could put it in, it's too much work. It's too yada, yada. And the case is like, it still was solving 90% of the questions that people had out of the box. Like there's just put in your date, time, location, the floor plan, speaker list. It can answer 90%. And I think there is, of course, it's important to personalize. But at the same time, I think people on the attendee side appreciate the access to very quick information, even if it's sometimes not fully correct or like fully, sometimes it doesn't know. And I think people are becoming more comfortable with the fact that that's totally fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, to Anne's point, imagine not having to sit at these reg desks and tell people all day long wherever you, I mean, this is just.
Were you with us at the empowerment lounge, Anne? Because that was one of the questions.
Your favorite
that
question.
And where's the coffee? So there you go. But like, so let's go back to a list, because I do have a list here. Descript is on my list. Descript is also an amazing tool to use. This goes back to content and transcripts and all of that. There is an AI website builder that can actually build you a website. You and I used to use beautiful.ai quite a bit for like PowerPoint and stuff. Is it called Beautiful?
Yeah, I've been using that for years. I
Yeah.
love
So there's one called durable.co. And then the other one is called Flair. So with Flair, FLAIR.ai. Um, what else? Does anybody else have any other tools?
I haven't used it yet, but I'm very excited about trying Brandmark, which apparently creates a logo for you to use in like it's like $65 or something. But I've
Nice.
heard very good things about it. And then another one I want to try is
Yep.
Synthesia.io, where you just like type the content and then they give you these little faces that make
Avatars, and they
videos.
look super real.
Yeah, I mean, they do look like real video. I mean,
Yeah. So Synthesia,
Synthesia. There you go.
yeah, Synthesia. I was looking at it because PMI was looking at like, how's a quick way to do like how-to videos, etc.
Yeah.
And that's one way to do it. But so in a Dahlia world, I would love that instead of us being, only having sessions where you have speakers that come in with fugly, PowerPoints and clip art. Still, clip art is still a thing, right? So basically, where you have these amazing conversations, but these conversations are then transcribed in maybe an AI enabled platform of some kind, and then is beautifully put together as a deck or put together as some kind of content piece that then you can send out, not to only those that were part of the conversation, but those that were not part of the conversation.
Yeah, I'm looking through the chat and I see some of the comments that I know we've heard before, like Sina saying she prefers to talk to a nice person instead of a computer. And Joe saying, don't you think there might be a danger of losing touch points like the Reg Desk? If people don't see you, aren't they less inclined to appreciate your role,
Right.
your work? And I think that is a question, but I think the idea again is not to use AI to replace people, but to use the people, the humans, for things that are more meaningful. If you
Mm-hmm.
could not be telling people where the bathrooms are all day, and instead you could be designing an experience that's way more interactive because your staff can actually do things other than sit at a reg desk all day. And the goal I don't think would be to get rid of reg desks altogether, but to have one person at Reg with the smiling face and answering questions and making connections, and the other 10 people that you would typically have standing there looking through Excel sheets and checking people in and answering questions could be doing lots of other things. So not necessarily replacing the people who are doing these things, but or like the Canva hack I talked about before, where you're not replacing your marketing manager, but instead of generating 50 unique images all the time and doing all these posts, they could automate that and then they could spend their time being much more strategic and doing a lot of stuff that could elevate instead of all of
Definitely.
that wasteful time.
Yeah. I mean, so Joe, one other thing is, and what Liz was saying, it's not replacing, it really is supporting, because you do still have people that are neurodivergent that basically don't want to talk to anybody. And, they would rather talk to someone or something on their phone. So it's just giving that option as well, and it also relieves the whole FAQs. We're used to saying that, do things that will like relieve the manpower, if you will, so that you can spend time on strategy.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think that AI is going to play a huge role in is in marketing, is in visual, and is in content. So like we have AI tools that we've seen that take content across different channels or across different formats, and it sort of gives you that opportunity as a listener or as a consumer of a consumption of content, which parts you want to hear and which parts you don't. And so like this is where I also think that AI is going to help, where it takes one format of content, whether it's audio or and then turn it into video. meaning you're probably going to have AI enabled movies, and it'd be kind of cool to see if that it's going to be its own category in the Oscars, for example. But like this is where we should be looking towards, because if our consumers, our attendees, our event participants, and our businesses that we're trying to bring within the events industry are gravitating to that, you need to design the experience with that, or else you're going to be left behind. As Anne was saying, she said she put a Z in the behinds in her comment. But so the whole idea here is there's a ton of AI tools. These are not to replace any event professionals or the expertise that you have. These are for you. Like the playground right now just got cooler. Like it just got to a point of where Lucas and Lily and Elliot and everybody are going to have such a blast. It's going to turn your heads around like The Exorcist. I'm telling you right now.
That's how I feel a little bit right now. Even loving technology, it's just there's so much and so fast, and it's fun. I don't feel stressed out by it, but it is. I can imagine for people who are just not very tech savvy and who just feel like they're learning Google Calendar, that this feels like super futuristic and really uninteresting and scary. So, and there's a lot of event profs who are like that, who are just kind of like,
for sure. There is. This is where I say team up with someone who isn't.
Absolutely.
And just like this is going to be a fantastic ride, I think, this year. And I'm excited about it, to be honest. I think it's also, it lends itself, like you said, and is you need to take a look at like what the other companies are doing, the bigger ones. So it'd be interesting to see what Microsoft is going to do, especially like with LinkedIn and AI, as well as Google. I know Canva has their conference coming up in the end of the month. If you guys have not signed up for it, and if you have not seen their last conference, I tell you, it is the best performance ever. And it is a performance. And I would say, and I'll say it out loud, I think Google and Microsoft and Adobe and those guys should be very, very scared right now. So
some very cool things.
Oh yeah, for sure. So, well, this was a cool 30-minute, and oh my God, I think we have a lot of chatty chats today. So this was fantastic. What are we discussing? We have March 23rd. We have how to ace Google Sheets. So this is like going back in time a bit, but I'm sure Liz, you and Jim Spellos is going to be our guest speaker on the 23rd. I bet you there's going to be some AI like tips in there as well. And then something that's not on our March calendar that you see, but March 30th, we have an amazing and very special guest, Cindy Lowe from Red Velvet. And she's going to be talking about what she saw, the good, the bad, the ugly at South by Southwest. And we're going to be talking about marketing as well. And you don't have to get out of your pajamas. You're good. And thank you for joining us for the Cut the Shit Show, Cue the Genius. And you are all geniuses today, even in pajamas, even AI friendly, all of that good stuff, especially in pajamas. And we will see you next Thursday. Bye.